I come from a legal background, and I come from also a historian. And one thing I always remind people is, if you look throughout this country, every civil rights movement, women, gay, black, it has always come from the courts first. We as the people have never done right by each other naturally. So it's important to remember that, regardless of what you think about the courts, sometimes these things need to happen. And I will say this, I said this years ago during an interview, that school is compulsory. You have to go. If you don't go, they come get you. They send a car for you. They will send you to some places your parents will go to jail. So school is the one place you are forced to send your children to, yet they're not afforded protection. It is much like jail. It is the only other place. I'm not being dramatic. I've been doing this for 20 years. This is the one place. Yeah, where you are forced to send your school into battlegrounds where people do things, horrible things, where they do things to your kids that if they did them 25 feet away on the street and you called 911, there'd be an arrest. Somebody would be in front of a juvenile judge for assault and battery and a host of other things. So we've allowed schools to become castles. So, time to tear down some castles. The average kid attends school 180 days each year. So let's say this kid began counting days on his first day of school and stopped upon graduation. He would have done 2,160 days of hard time. Okay, so it wasn't all hard time. There were days off with good behavior. They were called snow days. In September of '81, I began my 723rd day of compulsory education at Narrowsview Elementary as one of the 2 black kids in 5th grade. Now, in the interest of full 5th grade disclosure, I actually made and kept a few friends at Narrowsview, and most of the other kids left me alone, except for Charles Wiley. Charles. You can all insert your own Charles here. Looking back on it, there was nothing cool or interesting about Charles, except he just moved from California and wore Vans. His father was also the pastor of the local Presbyterian church, which normally wouldn't be seen as a plus, but just my luck, the Presbyterians were also having a good year. Charles never liked me, but more importantly, didn't want anyone else to like me. And it all came to a head one day, in band class no less. Charles played the bass drum, and well, I pretended to play the baritone. We were getting ready for our spring concert, and he just finished a flawless rendition of Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Now, as to what happened next, well, the details remain somewhat fuzzy, except for the part where Charles called me a nigger. Now, I've been called a nigger before, although not while playing the baritone. Anyways, this must have been the nigger that broke my back, because the next thing I know, I've thrown down my baritone, grabbed Charles by the collar, and proceed to smash his head into the bass drum. Okay, so it probably didn't happen exactly like that. Long before 5th grade, everybody knew what kind of little boy I was. The kind of little boy who loved to play hopscotch on Mondays and double dutch on Tuesdays, even if it meant being the queer in Wednesday's game of Smear the Queer. But don't let my playground skills fool you, because right now, I'm also the kind of little boy who's never wanted to beat anyone like Charles. I want to beat him with everything I have and everything I can borrow. I want to beat him for everything he said about me and everything I know he's going to say. I want to beat him for every black kid he called a nigger back in California. And when I'm done with that, I want to beat him until he's blacker than I am and then ask him, who's the nigger now? Of course, there would be no beatings today. Mr. Charteau, our band teachers, separated and escorted us to the principal's office, where Mr. Icalucci informs us he's called our parents and they're on the way. Charles's parents show up first, his dad in a freshly starched black clerical outfit, his mom in head-to-toe Laura Ashley. Staring out the window, I see Mom and her freshly unkept mop of hair barreling down the breezeway in black elastic mail-order slacks, a shimmery tropical print blouse, horn-rimmed glasses, and a very unnecessary windbreaker. Noticing me, she waves. She waves to say, I'm here. Waves to say, I'm so sorry, this is never what I wanted for my child. With a fractured smile, I wave back at the woman now barreling down the breezeway. The woman who chose me, named me, and has now come to protect me, wearing what can only be described as her "who in the hell just called my kid a nigger" outfit.